Hey everyone. So I have been binge watching Rachel at Roxy Creations because I just Googled book pages because I or book pockets because I've been wanting to make pockets for like weeks now to get a stash of them. And I came across Rachel's channel, Roxy Creations, and I will link the video that started this snowball because if you check it out, you'll see that she just has multiple ideas, inspirations for this kind of thing. My video today is focusing on the hinged part because I love it. I love how it looks. I think that it is going to work great in journals. I have my idea journal here and I was just, messing with it and putting some of them in there. And I realized I was so focused I'm putting a lot of them to hinge from the left because my habit is to always go from the right. So I thought, ooh, I better make some from the left. And it turns out I've made pretty much all of them from the left, not intentionally. So these are just that. They're book pages, pocket book pages, and they have a hinge. And what is the purpose of the hinge? Well, it looks neat. Look at it. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's interactive. And not to mention, I've left this long enough that now this can be a tab. So I can sew it or glue it onto a page right along here. So it will still open, still flip, and give me a really nice tab. So I loved that. This one is a double pocket. No, one, two, yeah, two. If I glued it down, it would be three. But I liked this one because if you can see, this is just a scrap piece of digital paper, digital print, and I did the beeswax on it so you can see underneath that book page. Doesn't that look pretty? So whatever you put in here, you can see it. See me moving that? I love it. So I've just taken some tea-dyed cardstock, cut it into a tag, and stamped a little flower that I'll probably tuck right in there. But isn't that pretty? And if you're interested in seeing this beeswax procedure, method, whatever, let me know. I've done it on some different things like this is book page, and I'm getting off track here, but look how cool it looks that you can see through it. This was one of the first things I did, and I didn't have the thought process in my mind to pick something that didn't have writing on both sides, so it's a bit jumbled, but it's still pretty. Anyway, so here are some of the pockets that I've made. All hinged pockets. This is some rag paper, and I've just done some stamping on it and drew a little thing here. I know it's not the best drawing, but I think it's pretty. And so it will just set on a page like this. You'll have your pocket. You can open it up. And depending on what journal, you might stamp something back here. You might back it with, some tea-dyed paper where you'll have a writing spot as well. I didn't do that yet because I'm just right now, my process is just to make the pockets so that they'll be ready for when I'm ready to put them in a journal. And I used a lot of bead sack, just scraps of bead sack that I have. Here's some more of that digital that I tore down. A little bit of muslin, and I stamped it. I think it'll look nice for on the opposite side of the page. After you glue it, you're going to have, and this is a little bit large for this book, but you will have that number stamped on your side of your page, and I think that's really neat. I like that. So here's just some of the ones that I've done, and I just started folding, basically. There's another I've sewn some of them. Some of them I didn't sew. And I didn't hinge them all. The double pocket. Love this one. Like here, I'll probably stamp something because that's a little plain. So this one, nope, it's just a pocket right here. And then here's another pocket. Love this bead sack. Isn't it pretty? And then I did do some that I didn't hinge, but like I say, I'm kind of focusing on the part that's, you know, because they're hinged. I love that. So I'm definitely going to show those. And then these are just some that I did same way. I just didn't hinge them because I figure I'll glue them flat to a page, or, you know, 3 sides where it can be a tuck, double tuck, something like this. I would glue down, leave the back open, have a pocket here, things like that. And I will, again, do more decorating as I'm putting them in a journal. But these are pretty much folded the same way. They're just not hinged because I figured I would glue them flat. I do like this one. It's not a hinged one. It will be glued flat. Has 3 pockets potentially, or 2 and a side tuck is probably what I'll do. I love side tucks. But what started this was not so much hinged. I was looking for how to use glue book pages. You know how you glue things and with your glue stick and you put it on a piece of paper and you have all these glue pages. That's what started this snowball. So I thought we could do some of those. And I used all my glue pages, so now I'm just using regular book page. I have some digital, some scraps here that I'm going to use, and we're just going to start folding. I am going to show you how to for sure do these two, and then we can just start folding from there. So on the one that looks like this, I folded this in half and glued it, of course, so that it would feel a little thicker, have a little heft to the backing, you know, as it's flipping. So I'm going to glue this down. And where I tore the book page, I kept all of that because I really like when it's inked how grungy it looks. So I'm going to do it like this because I like the number, and I'll probably hinge it over here. So I'm going to glue it this way. Creating more glued book pages for me to use. And the reason, like I said, that I'm gluing this is because it's not the sturdiest. I'm not using the sturdiest of book pages, so this just gives it a little bit more durability. And then I just took something that I wanted to glue on the top, and you could either fold this down to give yourself a nice even tuck, and I will glue this little corner down. These are so easy. You're going to be like, why are you showing this? Because even though it's this easy, I didn't think of it until I watched her videos. And I'm going to leave a little bit of room here. I'm not going to let this go all the way to the edge. I'm going to leave a little bit of room so that maybe I want to stamp a number or something underneath there. I am going to run a little bead of glue around it, even though I'm going to sew on this side. I'm just going to keep it down. I'm going to pile these up and sew them all at once. So I'm just gluing on the 3 sides. I'm going to, like I said, lift it up a little bit. And I like this a little smaller so that it shows some of that book page underneath. Trying to decide if I want to, no, I think I want to leave it open at the top. So this is where I'm going to hinge right down through here. And I just have some scraps here. And you can either run it all the way down or just do a piece of it like this. However you want to do it. And on some of them, I left them hang over the top and the bottom just to give it a little bit more grungy feel. I like that. So I'll probably use this blue. But for now, I'm just going to stack them up and wait for the sewing. All right, so that's how to do this one. Although, when I did this one, I made this page, this digital, the same size as the back. So when I folded it, it went all the way. But just showing you, you don't have to do it that way. You can make it whatever size you want to. And then if you're using one page, make it a little bit. Again, I'm going to keep that rugged edge. And I'm just folding them into each other like this. They're not meeting exactly because I like it to have room to fold. But like on this one, I'll just sew around the 3 edges. Well, no, I could sew all the way around because this is my only pocket. Let me show you. Like on this, some of them I didn't sew all the way around. Some of them like this one, what I'll do is after I glue this down, I'll show you how I'm going to sew this one so that it does have sewing around the pocket. Some I did, some I didn't. Because I think sometimes the sewing on the pocket, it makes it a little difficult sometimes to get your tag in and out. So I don't always do that, but sometimes I do. Just your preference. So now I'm just going to fold it in half. And I don't like the point. You know, I'm always cutting that point off on my tags and such. So I cut that off. And now I'm just going to wait until I sew it because I want to sew along here. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to put it in my machine. I'm going to sew up all the way around. All the way around the top like that. Then I'm going to close it and sew these 3 sides. And I'll put on my hinge. Lace looks really good too. I like using lace or anything. Gosh, you could just use anything. Again, I think that's going to depend on what I do here. This one I may just leave and do some stamping in here. But you could also do something like this. Make another pocket right here. You could also add that other pocket on later. This is just the base. So I love that. We're going to keep a hold of this one to sew as well. Let's see, what's some of the other kinds that I did here? Then I did just some short ones that aren't diagonal. And again, just folded it down, folded it in half. Glued it. I don't get too exact if I know I'm going to sew. I don't necessarily glue the best. I'm going to cut a little finger notch out. Actually, what did I just do? That was silly, wasn't it? I glued it together. That's exactly what you did, fool. what I meant to do, I'm going to fix this, but what I meant to do was this. So I would fold in the edge on both sides, both ends, just to give it a little stability from putting things in and out of the pocket. That's the reason I like to fold that over. Then fold it in half. And cut the notch, if you want one. And then I will just more than likely sew around the 3 sides. And then your pocket will be in here. And I'll ink it too. Have to do some inking. So that's what I meant to do when I glued it shut. See, I like how that inking looks on that torn edge. So I'll probably put my hinge on this side so I can keep that looking like that. Now on the one that I glued shut, I have a couple of options. I can do it the same as one like this and put a digital on the front to make the pocket, or I can make it the pocket on another one, or make it a pocket on a digital. We could do something like this. Let's do that. Okay. So how big, how tall do I want this? This is pretty, it's a little bit thicker than normal digital paper, so I'm going to tear about halfway. And I'm not really going to worry about, and you can see that when it was printed all sideways, which I hate, but that's okay. So one thing that I can do here, instead of hinging it with cloth, is I can just fold this over. This will hinge to my book page. Like this. I'll glue this down, and then it'll open up like this. Or I could glue it on the back side of the page for it to hinge, and then the opposite side has this nice writing. Could do a little stamping, would look nice as a page edge. So I'm going to do it like that. And then, because I love this paper and I don't want to lose it, I'm going to fold this side in too, so that when it flips, we'll have another flip out. So I'm going to glue this to here. And I might take my deckled edge cutter. You know, I can't make it through without using that thing every day. I love this thing, Laura. So I'm just going to take off a tiny bit to give it the deckled edge. I won't do it. Yeah, I do it at the top too, can I? Started to say I wouldn't, because it would be rough to get it in and out, but this is so smooth. It's not sharp or pointy like my scissors when I use those. I'll ink around that. Glue it to this right here. Actually, I'll do it more in the middle. No, I'll leave room for my tag. Okay, so I'm going to glue the 3 sides. As you can tell, none of this I'm doing very precisely. And then I'm just going to fold, see how wide 8.5 piece of paper is. If you, like it's going to fit into a normal size journal. So it would be like this. Probably need to fold it pretty good. And if it's too long, like I say, I can always trim a little off at the time I put it into the journal. Trim a little off of this. I didn't get that very good, did I? Like I said, this is whoever printed this, and believe it or not, it wasn't me, didn't do a very good job. Okay, so if this was going on a sheet like this, we'll act like this is our journal page, because this is a normal 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I wanted to put it, hang it over the edge. See, I'm going to have to go in just a little bit more, ain't I? I could leave this as a tab. So when I put it on the page, I can just go down through the edge here. And then I have a tab. And then if I fold this in a little bit more, probably about half that distance, it's going to sit really nice on an 8.5 by 11. Look, that's going to be awesome. And so it'll be sewed and it'll be hinged. Then you'll have a nice writing spot that flips open. I like that one. Okay, that turned out good. Except this printing is really getting me. Really bugging me. I have to tear that out across the top. Like I said, though, look how wonky it is, so it's kind of hard to see how it gets straight. So I'm thinking I'm not going to put any cloth on this one or sew around it. I like it just like it is. But I am going to try to straighten this out just a little bit. And then I get a really nice rough edge at the top. I really like that too. And as far as this flip, if I didn't want it to open up, this could be a really, a tuck. I could glue it. There'd be writing spot here. But I think I want to leave it open because that's really pretty back there. So that it could write. I like that one. All right, so how many do we have here that I need to? That one I'm not going to sew. So we've done 4 different pockets. This one I'm not going to sew. I'm going to sew these. And then we can come back and decorate them somewhat. Try not to get too much of a theme when I'm decorating so that it can go into any journal. But I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, I've rethought this a little bit. This one I did all my stamping before I sewed this on. I'm glad I did because, it looks like doesn't necessarily just stop right there. So I think what I want to do is, because I know I'm going to do some stamping on these, I'm going to go ahead and stamp those before I sew them, just so it looks like it's consistent and not an abrupt, oop, there's where my stitching is kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? But I do love this little hinged one. I really do. I hope that you do too. That one was just kind of not really what I meant to do with it, but I liked it. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do I might just open this up and stamp the whole thing. Thinking that I'm gonna stamp it with my ledger, little ledger thing here. It looks like a little ledger page. And it's really kind of hard to see, but on camera. But it is, it's really pretty. You're gonna have to take my word for it because it doesn't show up the best on camera. So there, I'm gonna do that one like that. Let's see, what background do I want for this one? I'm thinking of these kind of like a background, and then I'm going to stamp something over the top. I've got these flowers here. I'm going to just do some of these. Something like that. I didn't ink the whole thing. I just kind of went down the middle of it. And then I think on this one, I'm going to use probably the mustard and green color bead sack. So I think I'm going to stamp my main picture in green. And this one, I think I'm going to use some of these blue flowers. And I didn't even intentionally put flowers, but I am going to use the blue flowers. So I think I'm going to stamp it with some blue. Okay, so that's, I got Forest Moss and Uncharted Mariner. So on the moss green, what do I want to stamp? This, some kind of flowers, it looks like. And the thing about this is you can always later on, depending on what your journal was, if you wanted to take some watercolor pencils and fill these in. I'm just going to not really put them in any certain way. Just kind of do it like that. And again, I'm sure you can't see it very well, but it really looks pretty. And it gives a nice, just a nice something something on the back. We're just layering up, kind of. Now I think I need something like right in the middle, though, to be more of a focal point. And you know what? I could end up putting a sticker or something on this at some point. So I may just leave that like that. Just, you know, as it's a beautiful background. Ooh, I do have a number, though. I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to put that number on there. So I'll just leave that like it is. And then maybe whenever I do, I may end up putting a sticker on it or some kind of a different, more solid focal stamp, depending on what I do with that. I probably would have put flowers, but I have so many already on there. I think I'm just going to go with a bird. Put him a little over to the left because I know I'm going to hinge over here. Isn't he pretty? And see, later on I could come in and maybe put some red and things in his wings, depending on, you know, again, what kind of journal. I love this big number. And these aren't going to go in the same journal, so I'm going to stamp that number too. Ooh, that's so pretty. And then I can always decorate the back or make it a writing spot. So it's going to look like that. Isn't that going to be pretty? So now I'm really going to do the sewing on these. I'm not going to sew on this one. And I do think I want to stamp something right here. On this little leaf, I know it's big, but it kind of goes with these crests or whatever in there. So I think I want to stamp that right there. I want to do it in blue or mossy green or brown. I'm going to do moss green because if I put this on the edge, that's going to tie in really nicely. Ooh, doesn't that look pretty? And if I put some of this on the edge, that's going to have a lot of blue, isn't it? Might look better if I just used muslin. You know what? I just found a piece of this Italian paper. What if I hinge that on there? Do something like this. I don't know, is that too much conflicting stuff there? Because that would look really neat hinged to the side of a page. All right, I'm doing it. I like it. I want to do it. So I'm just going to glue this down really lightly along the edge because I'll either leave it as a tab or, you know, hinge it to the page for the next page to have something pretty on it. I didn't necessarily glue all the way down. It's just doing it where it would hold till I sewed it, but I think this is going to be really pretty. Okay, so I'm going to go sew these. Okay, I've got them sewn. See, I did some pretty sewing here. So we've got our hinged pocket. It's probably going to be a tab on that one because I love it. And I'll probably end up stamping a number on this too because I've left enough fabric there to leave it as a tab. And on this one, not going to lie, I was so, I don't know what I was doing. I don't know. I can't explain, but look, I didn't really leave enough fabric to hinge it. So what I'll probably do is something like this. I'll take some lace when I get ready to put it in a journal and either glue it or sew it on so that the lace will be my hinge on the other side of the page. Hope that makes sense. So it'll look something like this, and I'll either sew it or glue it, and then this will be the hinge part. But I still love it. I think it's beautiful. I was happy with it, other than I'd lost my mind there for a second. I guess just zoned out. And here is the Italian paper one. Love how it turned out. So I sewed all the way around this one, and it will hinge. This will be my tab. Love it. Love this so much. Love this idea. So it's going to be like this. When I say it's going to be a tab and a hinge, when I got to put that tab on there enough to grab a hold so that I can still open it up. But see, I've got lots of room on both sides. So that's what I mean by the tab and the hinge. Isn't that pretty? I think I'm going to slide a piece of paper underneath here because I forgot to ink this. And it needs to be inked. Really. Someone said one time they didn't like inking old book pages because it just didn't look realistic. And I guess that's in the eye of the beholder, because I was looking at some of the, like this is actual rag paper from, I don't even know, 1800s. Well, it has to be before 1840 for sure. Here's a better, see all that foxing? To me, that looks like what I inked. I mean, I don't think I did any disjustice, I don't know. I don't think I messed it up by doing that. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Everybody's different, and that's what makes junk journaling so fun. Okay, so I hope you like these. I know they're easy, and there's so many more ways to do pockets, but like I said, I was just wanting to do some hinged ones. I love it. Do some that were very neutral and I could put in anything. Love this. Love these. I hope you do. We'll make some. And again, nothing new, just inspiring and a reminder of things to do. So we have basically a hinged pocket tab. Is that what you would call these? I think they're great. I like the lace too. And I didn't show the ones that weren't hinged, but I mean, if anyone's, we can always do those another time. So easy. This is the same kind of fold. I just didn't sew it or hinge it. I might at a later time. But pockets. Love making pockets. They're addictive and so fun. And now see, this is that same digital. If you can see the difference, how this one is clear, can see the words underneath. And this one I didn't do it to. You can't see the words underneath. Yeah, I think you can tell the difference. Same, actually, it is the same sheet of paper. Torn from the same sheet. Somebody said, well, why not just print on vellum if you're going to do this? Well, maybe just like this. It's just a piece you have left over and you want to do it. Maybe you don't have a printer. Maybe you don't have vellum. Or maybe you found it in a book somewhere and it's not something that's printable. Anyway, I didn't have to explain all that. I hope you like these, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.